What's up guys, we're going to do a short YouTube video on how to do an oil change in a 2019 Yamaha Bolt. It's the R-SPEC. I'm not a mechanic, so bear with me. Start by pulling it out, and then we're going to warm it up for just a few minutes to get that oil running out of the bike. The bike's on, but we're just going to start it and let it run for just a minute or two. As far as tools go for the job, you're gonna need a 17mm socket. I've got 4 quarts of oil. This is SAE 10W40. You can use that in all seasons of the weather. And I've also got a large catch pan. And you're actually gonna need, it's 4 quarts and then just a little bit more. So I have an extra quart of oil that I'm gonna use. As far as the oil drain, for the bike, it's going to be on the left side of the bike. It's a little easier to see if you sit on the right side by the pipes and go underneath the bike, just because when the bike's leaned over it's a little more difficult to see. But here goes the oil filter directly up front. It's the oil filter there. Then if you look, you'll see right here, which is right by the kickstand, that's where you're gonna drain the oil from. All right, so I went ahead and the bike is warmed up. We got our tools here. I'm gonna go ahead and slide this underneath the bike. So for this, you're gonna need a very low profile oil catch. I also turn my steering wheel all the way to the right, just so the bike sits up just a little bit more. But I'm gonna start unscrewing this, screw here, and we're gonna let the oil drop out. So I did forget to mention that you should probably take this off before you start your oil change. Okay, I broke it loose now. I'm gonna make sure this catch is in place so we can catch all the oil. Okay, so now the oil is dropping out of the bike. So now that most of the oil is out of the drain on the left-hand side of the bike, I'm gonna go ahead and pop off this oil filter here. Now that most of the oil is off of the, or out of the oil drain on the other side of the bike, I'm gonna move to the filter at the front. If you don't have a K&N air filter, go to your local automotive store, get one of these, and you can wrench it off. If you had one of these, all you would have to do is slide it on there and crank, and it'll come right off. But I'm just gonna unscrew mine from the front. As you can see, just cracked mine off right there. From there you can just slide it on off, and you can see all of the oil coming out there. Just gonna grab that, I'm gonna let it sit there and drain out of there. So the vast majority of the oil is out of the bike. There's still just a little bit leaking from the frame. I did go ahead and I screwed the drain back on so oil stops dripping over the place. I just went in and screwed it by hand, but I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down now. I don't have a torque wrench, so it's not gonna be torque to spec, but that's something that you guys can do and look up if that's the route you wanna go. I'm just gonna tighten it down a bit so it feels like it's not gonna pop off when I'm riding. I did forget to mention earlier that you're gonna have to get an oil filter. I've got a 204 here. You can use K&N, I know. High Flow is another good one. And those are about the only two I'd use. K&N is the one I took off, and then I heard this one's pretty good. We're gonna put a little bit of oil in here, just a drop. And we're also gonna run this oil around the rim here. Just like that. Just gonna put a little bit more oil in there. Heard of people doing this just so then the filter's not completely dry when you do go to start the bike. You got a little something in there. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this on the front. And I guess this is gonna come in handy. We're gonna go ahead and tighten this oil filter down. It's a little hard to do, but this thing does adjust and you'll be able to tighten it on there. If you don't plan on buying one of these, you need to buy a K&N air filter. But regardless, if this is your first oil change, you're gonna need one of these to take off the stock filter that Yamaha puts on these bikes, because otherwise you're gonna have to break off the filter and it's just a mess. Probably pick this up for 15-20 bucks. So the filter's on there is about as good as it's gonna get. Just go ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down the frame from some of this oil that was dripping off and do a little bit of cleaning up before we put the rest of the oil on the bike. Like I said, you're gonna need 4 quarts of oil. So this is the left side of the bike. Unscrew that dipstick and then start pouring your oil in there. Like I said earlier, this is 10W40 full synthetic motorcycle oil. It's used for all seasons. So while I'm filling up this last bottle, you're supposed to use 4 quarts and then just like a tad bit more. I'm probably not gonna show me checking the dipstick. Once you put the dipstick in the bike, you're gonna let the bike run. Once the bike has ran for a few minutes, pull out the dipstick. Make sure you're at the appropriate levels. If you're not gonna measure that 5th quart or the 4 and then a little bit more, if you're not gonna completely measure it out, I would just pour a little bit and then you can always add more. It's easier to add more than take some out.
Alright guys, so like I said, one of the last steps is just, I would let your bike sit before you go and ride it, but go ahead and check your dipstick, make sure the oil is where it's supposed to be, and then after that I checked, make sure you don't have any leaks in your bike. Other than that, if you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe if you like to, and we'll see you later.